Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another amazing episode on the Unleashing Potentials podcast. My name is Bernadette Desir, and I'm your host. And joining me today is Brian Hjort, all the way from Denmark in Copenhagen.
Copenhagen.
I tried.
You did it well.
Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. It's a bit cold outside here in cold Copenhagen, but it's part of the year, so I'm okay. Long day, hard work, after fitness, now home. After I have a 5 minutes of eating, and before I had to meet you. Yeah, I'm doing fine.
Oh, that's good. Guess what? It's really cold here too. Very,
Where are you
very
based? Can
cold.
I ask you where you're based in the U.S.?
No, I'm in Canada.
You're in Canada. Sorry, I'm only get used to Americans. So you're from Canada. That's beautiful because one of my co-workers, she's original from Canada too.
Oh, okay. Have you ever been to Canada?
No, but unfortunately, but now I met you. Maybe I have a chance to come one day. Who knows?
Yeah, it's if you like the cold, it's cold and it's really hot in the summer.
No, I don't like. Sorry, I don't like the cold weather. I hate cold weather, but I grew up in cold weather.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So were you born in Denmark? Tell us a bit more of your background and story.
All right. I'm born in a small town in Denmark, and I wouldn't even, I mean, I can pronounce it, but I don't know if you can pronounce it. It's named Slagelse. It's a small place, and I grew up in a normal Danish family life. And
Mhm.
that's basically my story until I came to Vietnam in 1992. And like I told you in a little introduction in the email, that I came to Vietnam as a backpacker. You are 20 something years old and you need to see the world. And
Mhm.
in the street in Saigon, or some people call Ho Chi Minh City, I met all these children who had American fathers and Vietnamese mother. Some had Afro-American fathers. Some are Caucasian fathers, Latino fathers. And they didn't look Vietnamese, but it didn't look like a typical tourist because they were begging in the streets, and they're homeless and there are no families. And so
Mhm.
asking, what are you doing here? And they say, me means American. So, okay, if you're American, so what are you doing here in the street? And some through a translator told me that they're looking for their fathers in America and they want to come to America. And there was a refugee program who could assist them, but most of them had no information because the mother gave them away when they grow up and when they're children, because they couldn't take care of them because they had American fathers and they've been discriminated. So,
Mhm.
and I saw how the Vietnamese that time treated them, and I didn't like it. And by fortune, I was able to hang out with those Amerasian children. That's what they call them.
Mhm.
And I went to one camp in Vietnam and one other camp in the Philippines for the refugees. And I decided I had to help them somewhere. I mean, I don't hate the Vietnamese. Some people are good, some people are bad, I guess, anywhere in the world. So I had to find a way to help them. And the only way to help them was finding the fathers in the U.S. And in '95, I helped one lady inside, outside the countryside in Vietnam. I located her father in Oklahoma. And everybody started to write me in bad English, or even worse in Vietnamese. I don't read or write or speak Vietnamese. And they say, please help us, help look for our fathers. I said, wow, if I can break one case, I can break more cases. And I realized I can do something that nobody can do. And then we had more Vietnam veterans coming in looking for the kids in Vietnam, relatives. And I was working together with my best Vietnamese friend, who's still my friend today. And I decided to make a very improvised homepage, put some of the cases up, and just do the hard work and get us more organizations. And yeah, and it keep growing. And we end up in New York Times and Washington Post. Did work with the BBC television.
Mhm.
It become bigger and bigger and bigger, and we start to have cases from the Philippines, and Europe, and all the American fathers. And then came up with the DNA test in 2013, and then it became too crazy and too wild, and I decided I had to find somebody I can work together with to have a legal organization, because basically it was just like a wild, wild west, you know. I mean, there was no control and nothing, you know. We just had the money we had and we spent it on helping people. We all volunteers and all just came from the bottom of the heart. And then I got up together with Marnie. She's actually a Canadian born, now live in the U.S., and Angela. And they're more like it. They know how to do the paperwork and organized it and made it as a non-profit organization, tax exempted. And we kept growing up how it is today. And we had hundreds of cases, mostly in the Philippines today. Some cases in Vietnam, and in the U.S., of course, from Germany, Faroe Island, Denmark, Canada. We had Amerasians that came from Philippines to Canada. I mean, it's just become something, a small things I made in 1992 with a friend have become a big, big, big issue with volunteers in different countries. So that's basically a little pitch of my life.
Thank you for sharing. So let me clarify to get a sense of direction of where to go. So you've been helping people connect with their biological families, specifically
Yes.
their fathers.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Did something happen to you to inspire you to do that type of work? How much fulfillment do you get out of it? Because it's very inspiring, the work that you do.
Well, I can only say like this. I'm coming from a family background that will never lack anything. I know who my parents is and still is because they're still alive. And I have food in my mouth. I have a place to live. I can take education. I live in a free country. But when I saw how those children were treated by the Vietnamese, then it's not their fault. They're war kids. They're just kids. It's not their fault what happened during the war. And that's something I say, hey, something has to be done, something positive. And I didn't like how they treat them. And basically, when I had a chance to help one, I realized I can do something positive. And I couldn't change the whole world, but I can do something for those people and those marginalized people. So yeah, that's how it started. And I said, wow, I helped one. It was a big wow, it was a big crazy kick. I feel happy, you know, you can do something good. And then I guess that's the big drive about it, you know. It's not about money or fame or be on television or radio or newspaper. It's fun in 15 minutes, and after it's just back to work again.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing. So, what are some pros and some cons about the work that you're doing? What are some good, amazing, positive things and some challenges that you face within the work that you do?
I'll say the plus and the minus. Yeah, the good and the bad. The good thing is that you can develop things and you can do things that you wouldn't thought you could be able to do. I mean, you create something and then you say, wow, I didn't thought about that, and how can I do this? And you make it keep growing. You find a new place, find new ways of doing things, and you develop new ways of doing things. And every time you had a wall, you had to climb the wall or break it down. And you meet new people, and you get bigger, and more organized, and help more people, and so we get more crazy. And that's a positive. The negative side is that it's getting, I mean, people expect a lot, you know, we're doing a lot of, giving a lot of DNA kits to Amerasians, mostly in the Philippines. And everybody expect you can find the fathers on the first day. And I mean, people get disappointed if the father don't want to get in touch with the child or deny the child or have new families. And it's some of the negative things. And I don't like it when you contact the father and you get rejected, you know, and there's a negative things, you know. And of course it takes energy because I've been doing this since 1992. And you can say 1992 up to now is like 33 years, and you can plus my age. So I guess I'm older than 33 now. So
I
you
was
see,
2 years old.
nah, Unfortunately, I'm not like one of those people who change my face or put Botox or filler in my face. I am who I am, so I can't really change
Yeah,
it. And
yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Um, so what are some successful stories that you have that you could share, obviously without revealing anything too sensitive when it comes to, your
sure,
foundation?
sure. I had one case that was beautiful because I knew one lady, and she was living outside in Kochi, outside of Saigon. The father was Afro-American, her mother Vietnamese, and of course the father left and mother had bad information. And the woman, the Amerasian woman, didn't have a good relationship with her mom. It was kind of, her mom rejected her, but she was still in touch with her. And she asked me for look for her real father, and with those bad information from her mom, and we were able to locate one father, or at least the father's family, because he passed away. So we did a DNA test of the Amerasian. One of the first tests came out, but the family find ftDNA. And of course, we didn't find anything on that. So we found one who could be her half sibling. Did the test of him. Of course, there was no matches at all. So from that start, it spent about 7, 8 years looking for nothing. And we got the ancestry DNA, and we was able to find a half cousin, female cousin, and I got in touch with her. And I talked to her, and she said, "Do you have any uncle, anybody who went to Vietnam?" She said, "Yeah, my father had a half brother. They had the same mother but different fathers, and he served in Vietnam." So I said, "Okay, can you reach out?" Okay, and she got in touch. They got in touch with the guy. Yeah, he was in Vietnam that time. Blah blah blah. But he had no relationship with any Vietnamese. At least not what he remember or he want to tell us. So okay. So of course, that was a lie because he was a father. So we had to convince him to do an ancestry DNA test, and he didn't want to do it. He was kind of reluctant, so we had different Vietnam veterans and volunteers to call him, sweet talk him, inviting for a burger. So it took him 6 months to do the test, and then to do the test, he came out to be the father. So, and he was kind of reluctant. So we did a AABB DNA test. It's like an immigration blood test.
Mm-hmm.
And with that test, of course, it took 6 months for him to do that test too, and came out the same result, and he came in. And the Amerasian woman and her daughters came to Houston, Texas in 2018, and her father waiting for them. And now they live in Houston, and then they're doing well. And the Amerasian's daughters are study, and yeah, that was a beautiful story.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Now we're
You're
going to
welcome.
talk about what you do. All the other side of what you do is that you're a social entrepreneur.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, tell us more of what you do when it comes to that.
No, but that's what I call myself by doing this. It's
Mhm.
like I was one of the guy who to start doing all this. I was the one who's still alive. I just try to inspire other people because you don't have to do the same as me or as you or anybody. Now I always try to get out and say anybody can do something. I don't have a big education. I didn't went to Harvard or Yale or any places like that. I just use my mind, and I mean, I do voluntary work too in Denmark, but it's mostly for music and stuff like that. But basically, you can go out see what happening around you in your community, in your neighborhood. Do you have crimes in your neighborhood? How can you develop organization that can secure your own neighborhood? What about you have children where you're living who don't go to school? How can you create something that can help those children to have an education so they don't end up in crime? And that's my take of life. I don't care about if I get rich or not. I don't make any money out of it at all. I spend a lot and spend a lot of time, but that's my way of do something, and create something, use my mind, and yeah, that's my take. That's why I put this title on myself finally after all those years.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Sounds like we have that in and like I agree with you in that sense because I do what I do. Obviously not for fame. I don't get paid for it. It's just
Sure.
a sense of purpose that we get
Mm.
out of serving other people.
Yeah, because money is good, but it doesn't pay for everything, and it
Mm.
doesn't change your life that much. You do something with kindness, and you do something because you can make a difference. You know, I'm not Red Cross or Save the Children or anything. I'm just a little guy from a little small town in Denmark who started something and had a bunch of very good, beautiful people working with me and a lot of volunteers around in Asia and U.S. and that's how it is. And that's how I feel it's supposed to be, at least for me. I don't want to get just big to get big. For what? You're losing control when you get too big.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Obviously, it can be very hard or intimidating for someone to start a company or just
Mhm.
to take the first step, take action. What are some tools and tips that you'd give to anybody who wants to make an impact in their community, but they don't know how or where to start?
I think the first of all, you had to be the one who show the first thing, because you can't go around telling people what to do if you're not ready to do it 100%.
Mm.
You have to take a small step, and people have to trust you. A word is a word, and your reputation is everything. If you don't keep your promise, if you lie or just talk, and nothing happens, people is people wouldn't follow you. You have to be the one who step up first, and then people can see you do something right, and they'll follow you. If not, it's just a talk. I've been meeting so many people and doing all these years of keep talking, say, let's do this, let's do that, and I say, okay, show me, and nothing happens. You have to be the one who go out first and check the beating. And no matter how many beatings you take, you have to come back, stand up, try again, get beaten, stand up, try again. And you have to believe what you're doing is right. And it doesn't mean everything you're doing is going to be beautiful and perfect. You have to change a lot. And every time you change by years and how you're going to do it. And lives change, people change, new people coming in, other people stepping out. And that's how it is.
Yeah, yeah. And if I may add, it's to accept rejection and defeat as a part of the process or
Sure.
progress, because not everyone's gonna like what we're doing, no
No
matter
way.
what area in life that we're doing it. How have you had to deal with rejection and judgmental people of what you do?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. First of all, as a me, first of all, I'm a non-American, I'm non-Asian, I'm non-Amerasian. I'm from a country hardly nobody know where it exists. So when you're dealing with especially people in the U.S. who is, sorry to say, Americans, but not all Americans. Many Americans believe that somebody from outside wants something from them, especially concerning money. And that's a bigger problem, is that people are very suspicious. They think you want something from them, and you want to do something harm. And I understand it. Sure, I understand people that this kind of thing, and maybe this guy wants something, he wants to steal our money and all this stuff. So they are very suspicious. They reject you. Sorry, we don't want to talk. We don't want anything to do with you. We don't know who you are. We don't know where you come from. And that's the biggest way of being rejected, because I'm dealing with something in that country. I'm not from that country, and I can't even deal with this issue about the half American kids in Denmark, because in Denmark we don't have that big problem about that. We had something. We had Afro American fathers and German mothers who came to Denmark as illegally. That's what they call the brown babies. But that's a different issue. So it's more like nobody who know who you are, because you're not from America, so people don't trust you. It takes a long time to get a good reputation, and people have to respect that you don't want to cheat them.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. So, what is the population of Black people in Denmark? I just thought I'd ask. I've heard of it.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think I know
you're
where it is.
welcome. I don't mind. I mean, I don't know how big it is, because we had people who had intermarried to Danish people,
Mm.
and then we had some people who were refugees, different civil wars, mainly in Africa, of course.
Mhm.
And then we had some people from different countries in Europe who's children of immigrants, some from Jamaica, the West Indies, Caribbeans, and we have people from Brazil and Afro-Brazilians and
Oh,
Afro-Cubans.
yeah, yeah. That's awesome.
It's not like a big amount of people, but it's merely more now than before because Denmark had so much work, you know.
Hmm.
Denmark is one of the only places in Europe we had a good economic situation. You can pick up work more better than anywhere else in the world.
Hmm. Yeah, thanks for sharing. I can hear an accent. People say I have an accent. I have no idea what they're talking about. Can you tell us what language do you guys speak or languages do you speak there?
In Denmark,
Yeah, where you are,
we
yeah.
speak we speak Danish.
Oh, that's so cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, in Canada you speak French or you speak English. In Denmark we speak Danish. Of course, we are an independent country. We are not somebody. We're not a puppet state or something else.
Mm. Oh, okay. Okay, that's cool. Yeah. Is there anything that you'd like to share that we didn't get to talk about yet?
Yeah, I will. What should I share? I would like just want to say out to anybody who listens to this program, and anybody can do what I can do. You don't have to do the same thing as me. You do what you feel like, but it's the only thing you have to think about. You have to do something positive for other people. It's good. You can make a lot of money, have big cars, flashy things, but the day you die, you can take anything with you to another side, to another place wherever you go up and down. The only thing you can take with you is what you did good for other people. And that's my take of life, you know. That's
Mhm.
what I learned from my parents and my grandparents. Everybody did something. Everybody did voluntary. My father, my mother, my grandparents, everybody had done something in life to help other people. And that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Thank you for sharing. A few questions for you as we wrap up. Where can people find you, work with you, and connect?
Beautiful question. First of all, we had a homepage called www.fatherfounded. It's F like a Freddy, A like Angola, T like Thomas, H like home, E like Eric, R like Robert, F like father, O like old, U like uncle, N like Nebraska, D like Denmark, E like Eric, D like Denmark.org. So fatherfounded.org, or they can go in to find me on Facebook or my name. We had a small YouTube channel too on Father Founded, and that's how they can find us. Or they
Mhm.
can go in and Google my name and find me on that way.
Mhm. Yeah, that's awesome. My other question for you is, what is the meaning of life for you?
Sorry?
What is the meaning of life for you?
The meaning of life is dependent on, I mean, it's dependent about, of course, during the age of the people. Meaning of life probably get the best out of it. And I mean, as older you get, you get, as less you need, you
Yeah.
know. And when you're young, people need to have everything fast and flashy. When you're older, it doesn't mean that much, but it means more that you can still able to do something and create something and see people be happy, you know. That's probably my meaning of life. Everybody had different meaning, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Anything else you want to share as I wrap up?
Sure. The only final word I want to say, if anybody out there is listening, want to make a help to make a difference, don't be shy. Just contact us. You know, you don't have to be high educated or anything or rich or anything. Just come out. Maybe you had some special idea, something you can contribute to what we're doing, and you can be quick on a computer, web designer. You can do anything, you know. You're some way of social media, because we only need somebody who's had volunteers. You know, everybody us here are just volunteers. We don't get paid for what we do. We don't have any special education. What we're doing, we just try to do our best. That's my
Mm.
word.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Thank you so much, Brian Hjort. Yacht?
You're what? Yeah.
Brian Yacht, thank you so much for everything that you do, the impact that you're making. and for
Well,
helping those who need it the most. And thank you for coming on the Unleashing Potentials podcast.
okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.